The Mediterranean Sea. March 1941. The war for control of Europe's lifeline, its trade routes, oil convoys, and colonial arteries, rages beneath the waves and above them. For months, the Italian Royal Navy, the Regia Marina, had stood as a proud symbol of Mussolini's empire. With sleek battleships and fast cruisers, they boasted one of the most modern fleets in the world. Yet, they were shadowed by a hidden adversary, not just the British Royal Navy, but the invisible hand of British intelligence. From a small, dimly lit room at Bletchley Park, men and women hunched over intercepted ciphers from the German Enigma and Italian C-38M codes. Among them, a message was cracked, a signal from Admiral Angelo Iacchino, commander of the Italian battle fleet. It spoke of a major sortie into the eastern Mediterranean. Unbeknownst to him, every word had been read by the British. And in Alexandria, Admiral Andrew Cunningham, commander of the Royal Navy's Mediterranean Fleet, smiled grimly. The Italians were coming, and he was going to meet them head-on. By March 1941, the Mediterranean was a chessboard of empires. Italy's fleet, based in Taranto and Naples, sought to cut off British supply lines to Greece and North Africa. But Cunningham's ships, though fewer, were blooded by experience. The British had struck Taranto the previous November, a daring air raid that crippled half of Italy's battleships. It was the first time in history that aircraft had destroyed a major fleet in harbor. That lesson was not forgotten. Now, as intelligence revealed Italy's plan to escort German troops to Libya and challenge British control, Cunningham prepared a trap. He would sail to intercept them near the Greek island of Crete, at a cape called Matapan. On March 27th, Admiral Iacchino set sail from Naples with the battleship Vittorio Veneto, 8 cruisers and destroyer escorts. His plan: sweep the Aegean, strike at British convoys, and return before sunrise. But the Royal Navy already knew his route. Cunningham ordered his fleet to sea, including 3 battleships, Warspite, Barham, and Valiant, and the aircraft carrier Formidable. As dusk fell, swordfish biplanes lifted off from Formidable's deck, their engines whining in the cold night air. Slow, fragile, and outdated, they were relics of another age. Yet these aircraft carried torpedoes that could sink giants. By dawn, British reconnaissance spotted the Italian formation south of Crete. The chase was on. At 10:30 a.m. on March 28th, the Italians struck first. From over 20 miles away, Vittorio Veneto's massive 15-inch guns roared, hurling shells across the waves. Columns of water exploded around the British cruisers Orion, Ajax, and Gloucester. The British returned fire, but the Italian battleship's speed and range gave her the edge. For a moment, it seemed Cunningham's plan might unravel. Then, out of the clouds, came the Swordfish. Their pilot, Lieutenant Commander Daliel Stead, led the attack with calm precision. Anti-aircraft fire filled the sky, yet one torpedo struck home. Vittorio Veneto shuddered violently, her speed dropping as she began to trail oil. The British fleet closed in. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, both fleets maneuvered cautiously. The Italians, believing the British were still far away, tried to withdraw under cover of darkness. But Cunningham had one final advantage: radar. British ships carried the latest Type 279 and 284 sets, giving them eyes in the dark. The Italians, by contrast, were blind. At 10 p.m., radar operators aboard Valiant and Warspite picked up echoes, enemy cruisers moving at 22 knots. Cunningham gave the order. Action stations, engage the enemy. Moments later, out of the night, 3 Italian cruisers, Zara, Fiume, and Pola, appeared in silhouette. They had no idea the entire British battle line was waiting just 3,000 yards away. The British fired first. In seconds, the sea erupted with thunder. 15-inch shells ripped through the darkness, lighting the night in flashes of fire. Zara and Fiume were torn apart. Flames engulfed their decks, sailors thrown into the sea. Polar, disabled earlier by an air attack, lay helpless. The British destroyers moved in, finishing the work with torpedoes. By dawn, the waters off Cape Matapan were covered in burning oil, wreckage, and men clinging to life. When the sun rose on March 29th, the scale of the disaster became clear. The Regia Marina had lost 3 heavy cruisers, 2 destroyers, and over 2,300 men. The British lost none. Admiral Cunningham, a man of the old naval code, ordered rescue operations for survivors despite the risk of submarine attack. Many Italian sailors were pulled from the sea by the very enemy who had destroyed their fleet. It was a human moment amid the carnage, the kind of honor that still echoed from the age of sail. For Mussolini, the defeat was humiliating. Never again would the Italian Navy challenge the Royal Navy in a major surface battle. The Mediterranean had changed hands. Cunningham's victory at Cape Matapan not only ensured Allied control of the eastern Mediterranean, it proved that superior intelligence, radar, and air power could overcome even the mightiest fleets. The Battle of Cape Matapan was more than a tactical victory. It marked the twilight of battleship warfare and the dawn of a new era, one where information, technology, and the courage of those who dared the night decided the fate of empires. The wrecks of Zara, Fiume, and Pola still rest at the bottom of the Ionian Sea, silent monuments to the men who went down fighting, sailors of both nations, forever bound by the sea. History remembers Cape Matapan not just as a battle, but as a turning point. A reminder that in war, as in life, even in darkness, knowledge is power, and courage lights the way.